Well, hello, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Our next trolley stop is here, and our next trolley stop is now. Welcome back to another all-new episode of PR from the Heart's Children's Book Spotlight Series. To be precise, we have reached episode number 189. That is the 189th trolley stop here at PR from the Heart and the Children's Book Spotlight Series as we hear the jingle bells. Yes, we tend to hear the jingle bells on the trolley a little earlier than most people do because it is officially the kickoff of our holiday season celebration, literally one of our favorite times of the year in addition to our back to school season and our anniversary celebrations here at PR from the Heart. My name is John Masiulionis, manager of PR from the Heart, the host of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. You'll be likely hearing my little furry fellow, little Forrest. He's chomping on a collagen treat on his end of things. He is sending his heartfelt wishes for a blessed, magical, and merry holiday season to all of you, wherever you are and wherever you may be. You know, let's be honest, during the holidays, things become brighter. They can actually become more merrier in many respects. And there's times when we can find ourselves feeling sluggish and even wondering, it can kind of even reflect in our language, the language that we use. One of the common phrases is, you know, it's kind of like a little bit of a pedestrian day. Hey, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you? Well, I'm doing well as well, too. Well, whoop-de-doo. Like, that's great. But just imagine if you can insert a little bit more pizzazz. As the French say, je ne sais quoi. If you woke up in the morning and said, I feel as strong as an ox, and you might say, oh, I like the way that sounds, right? And there's many more examples of that we will be diving into in episode number 189 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, because thanks to a kid, not only just a kid and a dog, but the kid and the dog, we're going to be having some fun with the colorful world, the wonderful world of figurative language. We encourage all of you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars, to head on over to the official website of our featured guest here in episode number 189 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, booksbydorenda.org. You can also head on over to Amazon.com if that is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. And you can purchase all 4 books in the Kid and the Dog series. They are now available. One of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Dorenda Doyle is by leaving a 5-star review on Amazon for any or all of the Kid and the Dog series, which we've really had a wonderful time with over the course of these past several weeks. The trolley, you hear the jingle bells in the trolley traveling from San Diego all the way to the beautiful neck of the woods that is Cullman, Alabama. Joining us is one of the newest members of the PR from the Heart family, award-winning children's author and the creator of the Kid and the Dog series, Dorenda Doyle, joining us here to not only just join us on the program, but you are kicking off our holiday season celebration at PR from the Heart. So thank you for joining us and for kicking off these festivities with us, Dorenda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I can't think of a more appropriate time because I am definitely a kid at heart around the holidays.
And yes, we always color coordinate our shining stars as well too. So if you're wondering, you're saying, John and Dorenda, why the blue? Well, if you enjoy the kid with the ear-splitting scream and the dog who explains everything, we try to color coordinate, but we will for not forget about the colors of the holidays. So you will see some green and you will see red as well too, in addition to the purple and gold of PR from the Heart. If this humor, this lightheartedness, if you're really wondering, wanting to connect with figurative language a little more and really wondering what is figurative language, if you're really intrigued watching episode number 189 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, one of the many ways you can pledge your support for us here at the program, us here at PR from the Heart, is to subscribe to our official YouTube channel and join the over 7,000 members of the PR from the Heart YouTube family on YouTube, and to share this very special trolley stop that you are now enjoying, that is episode number 189 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, on your favorite social media platforms of your choosing. Dorenda, we always love sharing authors' origin stories, because within the story that is the book, or the stories in this particular instance for yourself, there is a story of where it all began for you. And first off, we want to give a shout out to one of the members of the PR from the Hart family, Julie Deanne. Of course, you remember her from earlier this year in 2023. Which would you choose? So it's interesting how just this synergy just flows when it comes to PR from the Hart and the Kidlit community, which is absolutely wonderful. You go back decades in the realm of education, but I give you a lot of credit, and this is one of the things that you'll be diving into a little bit more. A little sneak preview, spoiler alert, Dorenda is actually going to be joining not only myself, but also David Newell. We had the opportunities to spend some quality time with our friends and neighbors at the Center for Media Innovation on the beautiful campus of Point Park University in downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If you are watching this episode of the Children's Book Spotlight series just shortly after its premiere, you will be able to enjoy episode number 33 of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, where Dorenda will be joining myself and David Newell. So if you hear a little healthy overlap, we're going to try to keep things a little bit fresh here. But again, there's people who tune into the Children's Book Spotlight series that don't tune into the Neighborly Reviews bookcast. Of course, that is the popular children's book review program that David Newell and you remember him, you love him as the beloved Mr. McFeely on the popular long-running children's television program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That is when we, as a little tip of the cap to David's beloved character, we deliver new heartfelt reviews from the newest children's books from the shining stars in the Kidlit community. So could you share with us, with all of that being said, could you share with us where it all began for you? Was it a specific moment in time for you when you knew that this work, your work for children, and especially connecting them to figurative language? Was it a specific moment in time for you? Was it a series of events? Could you share with us, for those who are especially learning about you and your journey for the first point in time?
I wish I could say, this happened, this specific thing happened, and the light came on, and I knew this is what I was going to do. But really, John, in reality, I think as I look back and I think about things, I think every step that I have taken throughout my life has led to this. And I'm old. I don't know if you want me to tell people how old I am, but I'm old, and I taught for over 30 years, and I did not teach elementary. I taught high school, and I taught business and computers and very serious subjects. But I, in my spare time, was always making up stories for my kid, for cousins, for siblings, and I now have 8 grandkids. And when I retired from teaching, that was about the time of the pandemic, and I was witnessing my grandkids, especially the 3 younger ones, having to learn how to read through Zoom, and it wasn't working. And instead of that instilling a joy of reading, it was making them dread reading. And books, they're my life. They've always been my life, and they take me everywhere. And I wanted my grandkids to love reading as much as I did. So I decided one day, I started making up stories for them, and I wrote them out in plain block letters, because remember, I'm trying to teach them how to read. And I realized these have to be fun. These have to be rhyming. They have to have a funny picture with them. They need something to grab their attention and make them realize, oh, well, this is pretty fun to sit here and read. And what exactly happens to this space alien that you said just landed in our living room, or whatever the case may be? And the children's series kind of evolved, started with one book, and the 2 characters, the kid and the dog, they just took on a life of their own, and they told me, we want to write some more. So at this point, we've got 4 books in the series. with at least 4 more planned. And why figurative language? As I said, I've always been a reader. I actually planned to teach English and decided to switch to business because there were more jobs. But I have always loved the English language. Figurative language, idioms, similes, metaphors, hyperboles, all of those things, all of these parts of figurative language, they enrich our language. Instead of just saying the dog crossed the street, you add descriptions, you add things that bring that to life. And now all of a sudden, this dog that crossed the street is as big as an elephant and as furry as a lion and as loud as an earthquake or whatever. And so that's figurative language. You bring it to life and it decorates our speech.
This is one of the reasons why I love your series, is because we have many different books on different subjects. And I feel that every single children's book is needed in the world in some way, shape, or form. You need your books on kindness. You need your books on compassion. You need your books on empathy. You need your books on self-love. You need your books on celebrating one another's differences. But when I was first introduced to your work, it literally brought me back to grammar school when I was learning about similes and metaphors for the first time. And it was like this, it was like my inner, it was a deeper reconnection with my inner child. It's like, I remember learning about similes, and oh wait, let me do a little refresher course on what similes are. I'm actually curious, before we dive into the pages of your series, I can only imagine that there has been grown adults that have come to you that have shared the same thing, like, I haven't talked about similes and metaphors and hyperboles and onomatopoeias in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and it brings adults back to a very sweet, innocent, in many respects, even safer time when we learn these things and they just bring smiles to their faces. What has been some of the feedback that you've been receiving early on? I mean, after, again, you made the decision, okay, your series is going to be about idioms and figurative language, not even necessarily just from the kids, but what has the feedback been from parents, grandparents, teachers, principals, librarians, superintendents? What does that kind of feedback look like and sounded like and felt like?
Well, from teachers, they're looking at it from the point of view of how can I use this book to teach something that meets state course of study standards? So they're looking at it from a more practical point of view. And having been a teacher for 30 years, as well as a curriculum writer for 2 state departments of education, I understand that because every moment counts. So if a book can not only entertain and cause the kid to want to read, but also teach something without their knowing it, that's wonderful. And as far as adults, and it's why I put on the back of the books, the series of books on idioms and figurative language, and then I just kind of put a little quick explanation, words and phrases that mean so much more than just what they say. And that's it in a nutshell. Another idiom. But yes, I have a lot of adults say, I don't even know what an idiom is. And I basically just say it's part of our English language. And this is something else that I found. I have a number of friends that live in other countries, New Zealand and England and Canada and all over, even India. And they have read my book and they are sitting there and they're saying, we heard that before, but we never knew what it meant. Mm-hmm. And they didn't grow up with the English language or our Americanized version of it. And what I've found is some of our phrases, can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but they'll have something similar in their language. Just again, it's figurative language in their country, but something similar. And so that's been interesting to find out that, oh, this phrase of "it's a dog's life," uh, it equates to something else in another country.
One of the other reasons why I really love the Kid and the Dog series is because you, in many respects, turned a negative into a positive. You saw what your grandkids were going through, along with other kids across the country, in many respects around the world. And we're still doing our part to kind of dig out of the hole where literacy levels plummeted across the country. I believe with the research that I've recently done is that Alabama, where you reside, I believe has the, and I perhaps maybe slightly off, but I'm going to do my part to correct if I am. I believe it's the 8th lowest literacy levels between the 50 states in the country. And so, you know, whether it be there were children that were held back, they really weren't getting the full school experience. I mean, hybrid learning, there's plenty of benefits for it, but kids thrive when they're with their friends, when they're with their fellow classmates, when they're with their teachers, when they're just in that school environment. Looking back, because in many respects, it feels like the pandemic was ancient history. It was like we were fully in it and now we're on the other side of it. And it kind of seems like it's this time capsule kind of thing. Looking back on the pandemic and creating the books and fast forwarding several years later from when that initial series of ideas actually came in, how do you actually feel knowing the fact that these books are bringing more fun into the world? Because reading doesn't have to be a chore. And this is one of the big crown jewels of your work, that you're reminding kids, you're reminding parents that reading doesn't have to be a chore, that you can enjoy it, it can be fun, that learning can be fun as well too. So could you share some of the emotions and feelings surrounding all of that?
Well, just basing it on my own grandkids' reactions, they are thrilled that their grandmother is an author. I will share this story because this happened actually fairly recently. My oldest granddaughter is a senior in high school. She's in a creative writing class. I never pictured her as being in a creative writing class. She never showed that inclination. Well, all of a sudden, I get a call from her teacher asking me to come and guest speak and talk to her senior class about becoming an author, especially a children's author. I did so. And the other night, my granddaughter shared with me the first 3 pages of her children's book that she's not only writing, she's illustrating. And I am absolutely thrilled with that. I am thrilled when one of the kids, whether it's my grandkids or their friends, brings a book to me and says, "Will you read this to me?"
Mm.
I'm, and I will tell you this too. This is another one of my, just, the heart melts. I taught for 30 years. I will get requests from my former students who are now parents of grade school students asking me to go and read to their children's classes. And because they knew me as a teacher and they want their children to know me. And it just means everything to me that the kids love the books and they love that I was their parents' teacher too, and I've told kids this before when I've talked to small groups, large groups. If you read one of my kid and dog stories and at least one of the pages doesn't make you laugh, then I've failed. You need to tell me, because I want you to laugh at least once in every book. And I want you to enjoy it, have fun. If you remember some idioms or figurative speech afterwards, fine. But I want you to have fun and laugh.
And that's what the world needs more of. I remember a dear friend of mine, probably I'd say about 10 years ago or so, would always tell me, "John, laughter is the best medicine." And especially for us as adults, we take things way too seriously. We find ourselves rushing and pushing and forcing and worrying and stressing and all of the above. And it's really important. This is why I feel that the Kid and the Dog series can be of great benefit to grown adults who have the inner child. We all still have the inner child within us in the process, because again, you can ask yourself a question: does a brain really scatter? You can think about it for a second, and then you can put a smile on your face and say, aha, figurative language. We are almost ready to dive into the pages of the Kid and the Dog series here on episode number 189 of Here from the Heart's Children's Book Spotlight series. Joining us is the creator of the Kid and the Dog series, award-winning children's author Dorenda Doyle, joining us from the beautiful area of Coleman, Alabama. Trolley, again, you hear those jingle bells, of course, because again, it's the holiday season celebration here at PR from the Heart. You can head on over to Amazon.com and leave your 5-star reviews, if you feel guided to do so, of course, for all 4 installments in the Kid and the Dog series. You can also head on over to Dorenda's official website, booksbydorenda.org. Remember, if Amazon.com is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing, and you leave a 5-star review, one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Dorenda is to do that, to leave a 5-star review for any or all of the Kid and the Dog series. We also encourage all educators across the country, you're already doing your part to be able to plan out your map for 2024. No map is complete in 2024 without an author school visit from Dorenda Doyle. So you can head on over to her official website to be able to connect with her directly to schedule your author school visit, no matter where in the country that you are. I'm curious as to, before we officially dive into the pages and talk about all 4 books, there's the Kid and the Dog. Now, again, you know, maybe the analytical people who are tuning into the Children's Book Spotlight series can say, why doesn't the kid have a name? And why doesn't the dog have a name, right? And again, like, this just adds to the lightheartedness, because one of the things that I felt when I was looking through the book the first time, I'm like, those who are, you know, the little ones who are reading the books, they can name the kid. The kid can be Billy the Kid. It can be Bobby. It can be Stevie. It can be Charlie. And the dog can be any name. It can even be Little Forrest, which, by the way, I will say that one of Little Forrest's favorite chew toys is the dog from the Kid and the Dog series. I had it here in my office, and he kind of got to it, and I'm like, all right, you know, he's really enjoying it. Yes, that is Little Forrest's one of his favorite comfort toys, so to speak. But being able to kind of connect with that thread about, was there at any given point in time, was there the kid having a name, the dog having a name at all, or did you just know really that this just had to really be more open to interpretation?
Honestly, I never wanted a name. I think at some point in time, people have asked me, you know, what inspired the dog, what inspired the kid. The kid was actually inspired by my son, the 9-year-old version of my son, who is now your age, John. And so anyway, but when I write the stories, I am picturing Derek when he was 9 years old. And the dog, probably a culmination of lots of my dogs, but most especially my dog Shadow that I most recently had to let go over the Rainbow Bridge. But the dog, his expressions or her expressions, because I really don't know the gender of the dog. And the expressions tell them all. The dogs can look at you, and if you can't read their minds, you just aren't trying hard enough, because they are telling you everything they're thinking.
That's very true. And again, just being able to leave things open to interpretation just creates that much more fun, spontaneity, creativity along the way. Before we also dive into the pages, I think it's also important that we kind of set the table for those who have maybe heard of similes, metaphors, and the rest of figurative language. Could you give us a brief walkthrough of the different kinds of figurative language, and maybe let's say one example of each?
Okay, there are, depending on what grammar book you look into or whatever, there are, sometimes they'll say there are 5 types of figurative language. Sometimes they'll say there are 12 types. I list in the back of the last 3 books, and I did this on purpose because after the first book, I had so many people saying, what's a simile and what's a metaphor and what's this, that on my the books that came after, the last 3 books, I actually did a list of the 18 types of figurative language. And for instance, The Dog with the Kid, which is the last book, I gave examples that all have to do with dogs. The bedhead, let me grab the bedhead. The bedhead, which has to do with hair. All of the examples have to do with hair. But probably the most common, I lump them all into idioms, but that's erroneous. It's where a word, a phrase, or a combination of words mean more than just what the individual words mean. And I've told people this before. I am a very literal person. As old as I am, I still take things quite literally. And I'll just tell an embarrassing story on myself to exemplify this. I was reading a recipe for making oats, reading the can of oats, and because it was a brand that I had not used before, and it said, take 6 cups of boiling water. And I'm thinking, I don't have 6 measuring cups. I mean, I wasn't thinking in terms of take 6 cups and put it in a pan and boil the water. So I'm still a very literal thinker. And figurative language, for those of us who take things literally, we really have to do a double take on things.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, an idiom, an example would be, don't get in your mom's hair. Okay, in my mind, I'm literally seeing somebody getting in their mom's hair. And that's not what it means. And for kids, until they grasp that that's not exactly what we mean, until they realize, oh, they're talking about don't bother your mom or dad or whomever, they probably visualize somebody messing with the hair. Another one is a simile. It's a comparison, and most of the time you're going to use the word like or as, and his hair is as woolly as a sheep's, and because you're using like or as. Metaphor is when you are doing a direct comparison between 2 things, but you don't use the word like or as. And I've actually used this one in the bedhead book. His hair was a nightmare. And so that's a metaphor. It's a pretty common figurative language. Personification is where you give a human quality to a non-human object, or for that matter, to an animal. Could be an animal. And let's see, I think I did one on my things. Yeah, the dog wept for a bone. And I don't know that I've ever seen the dog actually cry, but that's the personification.
Well, another good example of personification, especially for those who might be hungry watching the children's book Spotlight series, I felt like the food calling me. Now, food doesn't call, right? But I mean, maybe in many respects, ice cream, cookies, the things that I normally don't really enjoy. I at some point in time, I will be able to enjoy those for the holidays. But again, there's so many to choose from. And I really love, again, for our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars, if you head to the back of books 2, 3, and 4, You will get the definitions of all the figurative language. You'll get examples of each of them so you can be able to connect and learn more in the process. Two of my personal favorites, by the way, when it comes to metaphors, a heart of gold, right?
Oh, yes.
Hearts are not gold, but a heart of gold. And of course, you hear the term, you've heard it for many years here at Peer from the Heart, that he or she is a shining star. Now, we're human beings, we're souls are within us, right? But we're not stars. But again, metaphorically speaking, with the metaphor, then yes, that's how we refer to children's authors as shining stars. So again, if with full disclaimer, full transparency, these are not necessarily the traditional children's books where it's like, here's what the overall plot is, and this character goes here, and this character goes here. Again, it's more of a free-flowing kind of conversation. Could you share this a little bit more about, and in a brief fashion, of all four books as to exactly like where it starts and how things evolve? But one of the things that I know for a fact is that at the very end of the story, that the kid and the dog are ultimately that much closer because they've shared so many amazing experiences and fun adventures.
Exactly. Yes, I tell people often that there's a subtle message in each of the books. The first one on the kid with the ear splitting scream, all of the figurative language in there dealt with a body part, whether it's heartbreaking, scatterbrain, belly laugh, ear splitting scream, whatever. They all had to do with a body part. I used rhyme in the first couple of books. I did not use rhyme in the fourth book, the dog with the kid. The rhyme, it helps the younger kids. They like that rhythm, and it helped, at least with my grandkids, because remember, that's when I started. And it grabbed their attention, and it was easy for them to remember things because it rhymed. When I wrote the second book, the Stink Eye book, I used rhyme in it, and it all had to do with eyes: wink eye, blink eye, pink eye, because one of my grandkids had pink eye, and I was trying to make it not so horrible, just a little bit of fun in there. And then the bedhead kid, it is again rhymes, and it deals with, what are your choices? If you wake up with bedhead, what all can you do? And the dog helps the kid work his way through the bedhead issue. I try to tell people, I hope that they can get this. There's a bit of an emphasis on social behavior, a little bit of emphasis on tolerance and acceptance, a little bit of emphasis on even health. When I talked about pink eye, wash your hands, don't touch your friends. So little subtle messages in each of the books. But overwhelmingly, I think in all four books, especially the fourth one, The Dog with the Kid, a message of friendship, and friendship between the dog and the kid, and what it takes to be a friend, and understanding and being there for your friend.
The fact that, again, your series really, it covers those messages very subtly.
Very subtly.
But again, this is great that we're having this conversation, because again, especially with the holiday season now upon us, and if parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and teachers, principals, librarians, educators, if they're wondering, I'm trying to find a really good gift for my little one or for my student. Again, this is something that your books encourage kids to read, especially read together as a family. Let's say it's National Family Literacy Month, after all, with it being the month of November. So again, being able to incorporate all of these different messages while you're learning and you're having fun. because ultimately that's really when the learning sticks in the process. We're beginning to wind down our time with our featured guest here on episode number 189 of PR from the Heart's Children's Book Spotlight Series, as we are kicking off our holiday season celebration here at PR from the Heart. Award-winning children's author and the creator of the Kid and the Dog series, Dorenda Doyle. We are fully immersed in the Kid and the Dog series. It is now available. You can head on over, all 4 books, by the way. You can head on over to Amazon.com if that is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. You can get your copies of the Kid and the Dog series there at Amazon.com is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. Remember to leave a 5-star review if you feel guided to do so. One of the many ways you can pledge your support for Dorenda, to let her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books and those who love figurative language as well, is to leave a 5-star review as well. You can also head on over again to Dorenda's official website, booksbydorenda.org. For all educators that are out there, teachers, principals, librarians, superintendents, if you want to schedule and connect with Dorenda to facilitate a forthcoming author school visit for the brand new year that is 2024. And for many of you already may be watching this episode in 2024. So isn't it interesting to know how, let us know, from the future, let us know how 2024 looks if you could. I think that as Doc Emmett L. Brown said in Back to the Future, that might kind of jumble things up with the space-time continuum, if I'm not mistaken. One of the things that I also wanted to talk about that we've been keeping under our tree here. Now, we do have our tree already set up here in the PR from the Heart offices. It's absolutely beautiful. I used to be the kind of guy that would kind of say, don't play Christmas music until December the 15th. And now I'm the guy that's jamming out to you name
rock.
Those Christmas classics I love, Burl Ives, and I'm an old soul, what can I say? But seasons readings. It is the holiday season event of the year in San Diego. It is taking place Saturday, November the 18th, so we are T-minus less than 2 weeks away. Barnes & Noble Encinitas Town Center, one of our favorite stores in the country. And Dorenda, you are going to have the opportunity to be a part of this special event. So again, full transparency for those who are learning about seasons readings for the first time. It is the holiday season themed event in San Diego through PR from the Heart. It's featuring 4 of the top children's authors in the country. In addition to Dorenda, you know her, you love her, Georgianne Irvine, the director of publishing for the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, who will be joining us on our next trolley stop on the Children's Book Spotlight series, the award-winning creator of the Hope and Inspiration series, Everly Cade, award-winning and best-selling children's author, one of the top children's authors in the country that specifically talks about death and grief and loss for kids in her books. And of course, Shannon Anderson, one of the top national speakers, educators, and award-winning children's authors in the country. He's been featured on the Today Show, Good Morning America, USA Today. Ryan Reynolds shared her brand new children's book, I Love Strawberries, on his popular new bedtime story series program, Bedtime Stories with Ryan. Being able to share this message and being in San Diego, and by the way, you can join us. Where are my manners? You can be a part of Seasons Readings. We have enclosed the Eventbrite link in the description below for those who are enjoying this episode several days after its premiere. You can reserve your tickets and guarantee your spot, to guarantee your seat at Barnes & Noble Encinitas Town Center, because there's going to be a story time, there's going to be a panel discussion, there's going to be an interactive Q&A and an author signing, a book signing. Proceeds from the event will be benefiting Words Alive, which is one of the top children's literacy non-for-profit organizations in San Diego. What is, again, here we are, we're looking into the future, 2 weeks ahead. Could you share with us what you're feeling leading into this big event and being able to share your message, especially for children, parents, families, educators during the holiday season? Like, what does that mean to you, being a grandmother, being an award-winning children's author, being a person who's obviously, as you've shared, you're very wise. You've been here with us for a long period of time. What does this mean to you to be a part of this event and to share your message for the holiday season?
Oh gosh, I don't even know where to begin. For one thing, I'm absolutely thrilled to be among the very people that you have mentioned. And I am in awe. I may not be able to say anything because I'm going to be sitting there open mouthed at everything they have to say. So, don't be shocked if I have nothing to say.
Oh, you'll have plenty to say. I'm sure you're gonna have plenty to say. I'm not sweating that at all in any way, shape, or form. With me, with me moderating the panel, you're gonna do amazing.
I'm thrilled to be able to do this. I really, I'm, see, I am already speechless. I know that the messages that all these authors share are very, very important. And I feel a little bit like, okay, all I want is for people to have fun reading. And so that's it. I just want people to have fun. Remember that if you can have fun with your kid while you're reading, if you can laugh with them, perhaps tell your own bedhead story or scatterbrain story or dog tale, whatever the thing may be that brings it to mind, the better. That's what I want. I want people to reconnect with their kids with a book.
Well, this leads into what I was going to be mentioning next. So we're very much at ESP, and we'll give a little sneak preview of Seasons readings because this is going to be one of the things we're going to be talking about as part of the panel discussion there at Seasons readings. Is we have National Family Literacy Month, which is currently ongoing. It just started at the very beginning of November, and then we're obviously in the midst of the holiday season. We always like to provide some useful tips, tools, strategies, things that parents, grandparents, caregivers, educators can immediately take away from a children's book spotlight series and put it into action into their own lives and to help the children, the little ones in their lives, implement it into their own lives. This may seem like a pedestrian question, but I feel that it's very important. Is why is it important, maybe now more than ever before, to be able to have families connect together through reading and to also, at the same point in time, encourage kids to be able to read during the holidays? Because let's be honest, when kids have the break, it's very easy to say, here's the video games, I want to go build the snowman, and those things are all fine and dandy. But as we alluded to earlier in our conversation, we're still kind of making up for that lost time from the pandemic, where it's really like this is really an ultimate time for kids to be able to connect with reading even more. And again, this goes back to the Kid and the Dog series, because I can just imagine when kids are, they got a couple of weeks off from school and it's like, I don't want to read. That's boring. That seems like work. I don't want to do homework. And you give them, for example, the kid with the ear-splitting scream and the dog who explains everything. It's like, the snowman can wait at least for 5 minutes, or the video games are going to wait. So could you speak to those two specific threads? Why it's important for us as parents and caregivers and custodians to really make reading important as a family, and to encourage our kids to also read during the holiday season.
Okay, and I may be misquoting because I wasn't ready for this, but I'm going to try to do this from memory. If a child will read just 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes, that's it, they will increase their possibility of graduating from high school 4 times more than the kid that doesn't read 20 minutes a day. And it is a national statistic that the majority of kids after the 6th grade do not read anything unless it's required by school. And that is so sad, because the whole world is at our fingertips through books. I want parents to, and grandparents for that matter, any kind of caregiver, it's more than just connecting by reading a story. It's more than teaching them to read. when you have a kid sitting next to you in your lap or just beside you, and you're reading with them, you are associating good feelings. You're associating the human touch. You're associating the fact that they have your attention, and you are paying attention to them when you're reading with them. And that in and of itself will cause them to associate reading as a good and joyful thing throughout the rest of their life. And I preach it all the time. 20 minutes a day. Does it have to be a science book? That would be wonderful. If I taught science, I would say yes. But if you're just reading for pleasure, 20 minutes a day, you are increasing your chances of finishing high school.
And I will quote, I may have to paraphrase our dear friend and fellow neighbor, David Newell, the beloved Mr. McFeely on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, where he mentioned to us when we were in studio at the Center for Media Innovation that even if you read the phone book, you can read the phone book for, and I had to remind David, like, and I think he knew this, is that like, we really don't have phone books. You know,
yeah, that's true.
You know, you're a little old when you remember phone books, and when you go to the grocery store and say they don't make brown bags like they used to. I find myself saying that when, and I'm like, wow, like I'm an old soul but a youthful spirit, but it's true, they don't make brown bags like they used to. Two of the ways that we always close out our children's book spotlight series, we always like to give a little tip of the cap to our favorite neighbor. And of course, he spent many years with one of our favorite neighbors, David Newell, Mr. McFeely. I'm Mr. Rogers' neighbor. Of course, we're talking about Mr. Rogers himself, the late Fred Rogers. In many respects, he did this in different ways, shapes, and forms through his time on the neighborhood when he spoke across the country, talking to colleges, libraries, any sorts of organizations. He spoke with a lot of people, a lot of events across the country. And in his own private numerology, in many respects, he encouraged us to remember those who helped us along the way. He would always keep the time, whether it be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or a full minute. And he would say, and most notably when he received his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Daytime Emmys, and he kept the time, Dorenda, he said, remember those who helped love us into being. So that was his way of saying, remember those people along the way who encouraged us to have fun, to be ourselves. It's interesting. If people gave me a quarter, if you gave me a quarter, Dorenda, for every single time that someone in my life said, John, have a little bit more fun, I'd have a whole boatload of quarters. I might even, I could probably have a decent salary just on those quarters alone, needless to say. But with you joining us as our featured guest on episode number 189 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, who are some of the people that you would like to publicly recognize that helped love you, Dorenda Doyle, into being?
Oh my goodness. Past and present? I would have to recognize my son and my grandkids, of course, and my husband and my dogs. But from my past, the person that taught me how important it was to read. Now, her choice of reading material was the Bible, but that's okay. And she would sit me on her lap and she would read stories from the Bible, and then she would interpret things because, you know, I didn't always understand everything, but that was my grandmother. And she instilled in me, again, we associate a lot more than just the words we heard from the book. We associate, and now I've got my cat, sorry. We associate the fact that she was holding me, the fact that she loved me, the fact that when she finished a parable or whatever, she kissed me on the top of the head and said, okay, now off with you. You know, and yeah, I would have to say my grandmother.
I really appreciate bringing your grandmother, because I believe Fred had said is that no matter where that individual or individuals are, whether they are near or far, whether they are here or in heaven, that they're smiling down on us, that they're remembering, knowing the fact that they made a difference, small, medium, large, or super size in your life in the process. One of the things that you're reminding people, Dorenda, is that it's never too late. If there's something that you want to do, it's very easy to procrastinate. It's very easy to let fear get the best of you and say, I can't do this. You keep telling, we many in society, we have many people that tell themselves the old stories. I'm too slow. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too dumb. I'm afraid of this. And life happens on the other side of that fear. Life happens on the other side of your comfort zone. So you are reminding not only people of their inherent worth and value, but the fact that we have the opportunities to bring to form and shape our dreams, our desires, our goals, our ambitions, and we have the opportunities to bring those things to form and shape for those who we love, care about, that we're called to serve in the process. So we're Disney buffs here at PR from the Heart in the Children's Book Spotlight Series. So we go back to the year 1992. We remember the beloved Disney animated classic Aladdin. We remember the late Robin Williams. We remember the Genie Lamp, and we have our very own. So we have a little segment called Three Wishes. So Dorenda, you've given freely to your family, to children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books across the country and around the world. So this is your time to receive. Now, I think the only automatic disqualifiers are you can't ask for more wishes and you can't have someone fall in love with you. But I think the genie said anything else is fair game. These wishes, they can be for yourself, they can be for your family, they can be for the children of the world, they can be for every single person on planet Earth to know what figurative language is and have a boatload of idioms and similes. That'd be a hell of a wish in and of itself. But these are your wishes, Dorenda. So what would those three wishes be?
Oh gosh, not to bring negative into this, but I definitely would wish for peace, especially in the Middle East. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen in our lifetimes, but right now it's definitely at the forethought for me anyway. And health for my family and for my friends, good health, and joy. I want people to rediscover joy in every little thing, everywhere you look. If you're looking for negative, you're going to find it. But if you can just purposely look for joy, you're going to find that too.
That's very true. And it's also another reminder, since it is the PR from the Heart holiday season celebration, you can do what I am doing right now and plug in the Christmas song Joy to the World into your phone and start asking yourself, who's saying it best? Was it Perry Como? Was it Pentatonics? There's so many to choose, and this is just yet another reminder that you are not only enjoying the Children's Book Spotlight series here at PR from the Heart, but you are fully immersed in our holiday season celebration. We encourage all of you again to pledge your support for award-winning children's author Dorenda Doyle by heading on over to her official website, booksbydorenda.org. You can also head on over to Amazon.com as well. You can get your copies of the Kid and the Dog series. They are now available. One of the many ways you can pledge your support for Dorenda, if you feel guided to do so, is to leave 5-star reviews for any and all of the Kid and the Dog series. Again, letting Dorenda know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books in the process. Of course, we encourage you as well to keep the conversation going post Children's Book Spotlight Series. We've included Dorenda's social media platforms in the description below to be able to follow along her author journey through the holiday season and into the new year and beyond. If you are an educator, teacher, principal, librarian, superintendent, and you would like to schedule your own author school visit with Dorenda as part of the upcoming year 2024, you can also connect with her via her official website, booksbydorenda.org. And for all of our San Diego friends and neighbors, we are less than 2 weeks away. I feel like I'm Casey Kasem. I'm an old soul. What can I say? You know, the host of America's Top 40. We're counting down here at the Children's Book Spotlight series.
Oh, gosh, that was like
doing PR from the Heart's Seasons readings, again, is coming to Barnes & Noble Encinitas Town Center on Saturday, November the 18th. You can head on over to the official Eventbrite page for Seasons readings and to reserve your tickets so that you can guarantee your seats for this very special event. Once again, it is the official holiday season themed event for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love the holidays, for those who love great children's books in America's finest city, in San Diego, California. Again, it's going to be featuring Dorenda, in addition to Georgianne Irvine from the San Diego Zoo, who will be joining us as part of our next trolley stop on the Children's Book Spotlight series. Award-winning and best-selling children's author Everly Cade, in addition to national speaker, great educator, and award-winning children's author Shannon Anderson will all be a part of Seasons readings as well. And I know, little Forrest, you're also reminding me that you also enjoyed the Kid and the Dog series. So if you remember the beloved late famous movie critics in the 80s and 90s, when a movie was popular, it got the 2 thumbs up. Well, one of the fastest rising rating systems for children's books is when little Forrest gives 2 paws up for books. So technically, you're getting 8 paws up, because there's 4 books in the Kid and the Dog series. You do the math, 2 times 4 equals 8. So I hope to God we're not seeing 8 paws up on the screen. But yes, Little Forrest is giving 2 paws up for the Kid in the Dog series. As we hear the trolley, that means that it is time to go. But fear not, there are many more magical trolley stops to come, not only during the holiday season celebration here at PR from the Heart, but of course, we're already starting to prepare for the forthcoming new year. So again, if you are a children's author, if you are a middle grade author, and you would like to share your inspiring story and the release of your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Children's Book Spotlight series, you can connect with us via our official website, prfromtheheart.com, or connect with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on screen. Facebook and Instagram at PR from the Heart. We also refer to Twitter now as the artist formerly known as Twitter. It is now X, but all of our social media platforms at PR from the Heart. Of course, sneak preview. I don't really think it's a spoiler anymore, but we hope that you enjoy episode number 33 of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, as Dorenda will be joining myself and David Newell, the beloved Mr. McFeely, from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, in studio at the Center for Media Innovation in downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on the campus of Point Park University. We're going to be talking more about the Kid and the Dog series. I say the word dog and presto changeo, here you are and here's where you appear. So again, if you are a children's author and would like for David Newell and I to deliver a heartfelt review of your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, you know where to connect with us, the aforementioned prfromtheheart.com, and any of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and X, all at PR from the Heart. And of course, sooner than we know it, literally in a few, maybe this is a simile, maybe this is a metaphor, maybe this is just a fun word to say, 3 shakes of a lamb's tail. It's going to be 2024. So if you are a children's author and you're wondering, wow, 365 days, I really got to get my book out there in the process. 2024 is the year. I'm already speaking it into the present tense. 2024 is the year of the children's author. And it's really important that you have the right support along the way to be able to get your message out there to more children, to parents, to families, to educators, and to those who love great children's books. So if you're interested in aligning with us here at PR from the Heart, it's going to be a very banner year here for PR from the Heart in 2024, as we're going to be celebrating our 10-year anniversary. If you would like to facilitate a book media tour in a city or cities of your choosing, if you would like to facilitate your own national book tour, you can schedule your own courtesy connection call by heading on over to our official website, prfromtheheart.com, and let us see how we can be of service to you. Again, one final time, you can head on over to Dorenda Doyle's official website, booksbydorenda.org. You can also head on over to amazon.com. Leave 5-star reviews for any and all of the Kid and the Dog series, fully endorsed by Little Forrest, by the way. You can't forget those 2 paws up. Again, one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Dorenda is by leaving 5-star reviews for the Kid and the Dog series to let, this is what we call multitasking here at its finest, to let Dorenda know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, for parents, for families, for educators, and for those who love great children's books. I know, I love you too, little guy. And of course, there's just so much more to come. We encourage you to take the time to also slow down and to just enjoy the holiday season as well. Sooner than we know it, the new year is going to be upon us, but this is the time where we start to take stock of all of our blessings, all of our gratitudes, even more so to just take the time to just really enjoy the holiday season, because there is so much where, oh, look at this. See, everyone is coming into the equation as we're closing out
Exactly.
episode number 189 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. So again, as we hear the trolley, that means that it is time to go. But we want to thank you for your continued support of PR from the Heart, for your continued support of children's authors and illustrators such as Dorenda. Well, actually, let me backtrack here. Let's start again by saying we want to thank you for your continued support of PR from the Heart, for your continued support of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, for your continued support of children's authors and illustrators all across the country and all around the world, like Dorenda Doyle, who are doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books, for the pillars of our community, local libraries and children's and independent bookstores. And above all else, we want to thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world. One final tip of the cap. We've mentioned his name several times here on episode number 189 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. We remember the late Fred Rogers. In addition to helping us to remember those who helped love us into being, through his own private numerology, somehow Mr. Rogers weighed 143 pounds for his entire natural adult life. Through his own weight on planet Earth, he reminded us of how loved and how special that we are. There's one letter in I, there's 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you. Did you know that? So as a little tip of the cap to Mr. Rogers, and as Dorenda was very kind to give us some of her free time this week, we like to share our favorite 3 numbers here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. And those numbers are 243. There is 2 letters in we, there is 4 letters in love, and there is 3 letters in you. So we are reminding you, just as Mr. Rogers did, of your inherent worth, of your inherent value, that we like you, that we love you just the way that you are loved, you are special, whole, healthy, and complete just the way that you are, that we like you, that we love you just the way that you are. So we got a full house here, and I'm not talking about the awesome ABC hit comedy show from the 80s and 90s, For Little Forrest, for Dorenda Doyle, for myself, John Masiulionis. This has been a wonderful way to kick off our holiday season celebration at PR from the Heart. Thank you for spending some time with us here in our neighborhood. We look forward to seeing all of you once again very soon for our next trolley stop, which will be featuring one of our favorite neighbors, once again from the San Diego Zoo, the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, Director of Publishing and the award-winning creator of the Hope and Inspiration series, Georgianne Irvine. And we look forward to seeing many of you here in the San Diego area at Seasons Readings as well on Saturday, November the 18th at Barnes & Noble Encinitas Town Center. But until we reconnect again, thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Goodbye for now. Big finish, little guy, Mr. Squirmy. Bye-bye.